In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. I further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a spiritual double of the God and the Lamb, and it is in their holy and righteous names that I greet you in peace, family. We say it in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning out there in YouTube land. Now, before we get started, I would kindly ask that you like this video, you share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Also, what else? Also, was something else I wanted to tell you, but you have to forgive me. I'm a little nervous, and it's been a while. Okay, but I want to. Oh yeah, such a simple thing too. Welcome to my channel. My name is Lenore X, and I would like to talk today about the mark of the beast. Now, I did a previous video titled Mark of the Beast, Who Will Make War with the Beast? Okay, so this will be part 2 to that subject matter, the mark of the beast. And in this video, we will get more into depth with what that really looks like what that is. We discussed it in the previous video, but we're going to go more into it in this video. Okay? Now, let's see. Let's begin with the number 4. Okay? And the reason being is because 4 is the number of foundation. Okay? 4 also is one of the fundamental forces out there that we have in nature. Okay? In the previous video, we discussed these forces of nature. Okay? And we're going to touch on them briefly, just so you can follow along and have an idea of what we're talking about. Now, behind me here, we talked about the forces of nature, and we will start with strong force. All right? Strong force is a force that binds together particles and bring them together so that they stick together and I'm not explaining that quite right. Just give me a minute. Yes, strong force is the binding together of particles. And a good example of strong force is the revolution in the womb. Okay? In the womb of the female, when the baby is being formed, when the sperm touches the ovum, the strong force begins to take place, the buildup of cells. Okay? That would be strong force. All right? Now, weak force, a good example of that is the decaying of particles. Okay? Um, we can look out into nature and see weak force. As I said before, you can look at the trees, like during a season, fall, for example. The leaves begin to change their colors, and not only do they change their colors, they begin to take on a different texture. Okay, they turn brown, they get crunchy, decay particles is taking place. That's another force in nature, okay? Then we have gravitational force. We all learn about gravity, of course, as babies and children, but we know that the earth has this gravitational pull, right? And that's a force as well. And then we have the electromagnetic force. Now, this force is dual in nature. Okay, one part is electric and one part is magnetic. And a prime example of that would be the lightning flashes that we see sometimes during a storm, or any plug that you use to plug up an appliance or anything like that. One part is electricity, and then, of course, one part is magnetic. All right? Now, the important thing that we need to understand about these forces is that these are all laws of God. All right? You must understand this. These are laws of God, and we can find these laws of God in the scripture. Okay? All right, so let's do just that. Let's find these laws in scripture. Now, in Ezekiel 37 and 9, let's go ahead and read that. Then he said unto me, prophesy unto the wind. Prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord, come from four winds, O breath and breath upon these slain, that they may live. Okay? So Ezekiel was calling for these forces. Okay? And another important thing to understand about these forces is that we're warned in this day and time, of course, that there will be what they call false prophets. And these people indeed will be able to, as they describe in the book of Revelation, I believe it is, they describe how these false prophets will be able to perform miracles in the sight of men, huh? And make fire come down from the heavens. These kinds of things. But if you're unaware that these are the laws of God and they have learned, they have intelligence, they have learned how to manipulate these laws, then of course you will be impressed and overwhelmed and amazed. Excuse me, and all of these things. Forgive me, it's a little cold in here, but I have to keep it that way. And all of these things, and you can be taken away with them. So the Father, He really doesn't want that to happen to us. So He's sharing with us these laws and making us familiar with these things so that we will know and have discernment when it's the Father and His elite angels / scientists, or it's these false prophets, okay? We have to be able to make that determination, okay? Our lives will depend on it, all right? Okay, so let's continue. Also, in the book of Daniel, he talked about these forces as well. Daniel 7 and 2. Let's go ahead and read that. Right? Daniel spoke and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. So Daniel is basically sharing with us that he witnessed these forces when he was moving through time, prophesying, receiving prophecy. Okay? All right, let's continue. Also, in the book of Job, these forces are talked about as well. The book of Job 38, 22, and 23 reads, Hast thou entered into the treasures of snow, or hast thou seen the treasures of hell, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war? This is God talking. This is Allah asking questions. Have you seen it? Well, we're in that day, brothers and sisters. We're in that day, in that time where Allah will use the forces of nature against this enemy. All right? Let's continue. Now, the Holy Quran also speaks of these forces. And in Surah 30, I'll get my glasses. Verse 24, it reads, and of his signs is this, that he shows you the lightning for fear and for hope, and sends down water from the cloud, then gives life therewith to the earth after its death. Surely there are signs in this for people who understand. Okay? Allah is talking about the forces of nature as well, and how they work. How they work, and what purpose they serve to give us a sign. He shows us these things to put fear in us, but not the kind of fear that is so negative, huh? The kind of fear that causes us to correct ourselves. Coming up as, with our parents, they would put the fear of God in us, okay? And they asked us to do something and we kind of dragged our feet about it or just disregarded it or whatever. Our parents, they would, put that fear in us. And that's the same kind of fear that we need to experience when it comes to the Father. Okay, we know He's all knowing, all wise, all powerful, and He can chastise us. So the fear that is being spoken about, it doesn't have the kind of negative connotation that this fear-based society that we live in has. Okay, I want you to understand the difference because there is a big difference. All right, let's continue. It also speaks in the Holy Quran in Surah 30, verse 20. And of His signs is this, that He created you from dust. Then lo, you are mortals who scatter. Okay? Allah is basically letting us know that we basically are okay, dust scatters, right? When dust is collected, we blow on it, okay, to move it around. And the Father is saying to us basically that He can move us around with these forces and things around with these forces just as easy. Okay, I hope you caught that. He says this is a sign for us so that we understand these forces. Okay, it's nothing spooky about this. This is real science. Okay. Now, in Islam, we're taught that Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam, and it can be proven at any point in time. And we intend to prove this to you in this short amount of time that it takes us to get this message across. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he was with us on this plane, he put out several books, like a whole library, right? But one of those books, titled The Theology of Time, he shared with us the secret of time. And it's very, very relevant to us today. All right? Now, let's go over that just briefly. time as it relates to God. Okay? Let's start there. Now, behind me, you can see these circles at the top there. Huh? You see past, present, and future. Now, as we said before, time is not linear. It doesn't move in a straight line, okay? It moves in a circular pattern, as you can see, those circles. But more than that, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that Allah created himself out of triple stage darkness. This darkness had 3 stages to it. Okay? And at one point, he was able to manifest from that darkness. All right? Now, we all, I would say, every human here on the planet, we come from this same infinity in time. Okay? It's important that you understand these things. All right? We can find this in Genesis, the beginning. Okay? Let's read that. Okay. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Spirit of God. I want you to understand the Spirit, because that word has been used and abused in this book. But I want you to understand the context in which the Spirit is being defined here. Okay? As we said in the beginning, Allah created himself out of those triple stages of darkness. You have time, right? So his Spirit was there. But before his Spirit was there was a mental plane of thought, right? Now, we know that everything that we want to express, manifest, speak, plan, it starts on the mental plane of thought. This is your thought process. Then it moves on to your spirit, your being. It is a state of being. It actually becomes you. Okay? Now, the third stage to that is you make a physical reality from your mental train of thought, and then it becomes your spirit, and then it becomes your physical reality. I want you to understand these things, okay? Now, also, you have a lot and you have time up there, but what's most important for you to understand is you have motion and you have vibration. You have sound, all right? This creates a frequency. from this frequency, it emits from our beings. Okay? I want you to understand how these things work and why it's important that you know how these things worked, because we're living in a time where the enemy, I promise, he will use these things against us if we don't know or are not privy to um, the laws of God and knowing God and his origins and these kinds of things. Okay? So that's time as it relates to God. And then there's time as it relates to humanity. Now, in the book of John, let's go over it again. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. And then it goes on to say that the Word, hear me, became flesh and dwelled among men. Okay? So I want you to understand, yes, we do come from an infinity